Flack math! Give me some math and I'll give you some flack. Flack math!
Okay, we are going to talk about, usually when you see the word equivalent, what comes next? Equivalent?
Equality.
No. Equivalent? No, I'm not the definition. But when I talk about equivalent, I'm like, equivalent?
Numbers?
No, equivalent numbers.
Equations?
Well, that's what I'm going to talk about today. You just ruined everything. No, like equivalent fractions. You know, remember, like 3/4 is the same thing as 9/12 and things like that. Equivalent equations basically mean they're kind of like equivalent fractions. So here's a cool little visual that I usually do. The word equivalent is really just equal. Whoa, did you guys see that? But with more parts. So like 1/2 of a pizza, you could cut a big pizza in half and eat half of it, and it tastes better. I can't prove that scientifically, but
I can.
bigger pieces taste better than smaller pieces.
No,
Incorrect.
It's false.
Yeah.
Because you get more flavor, and you can actually have a big bite.
What if you don't cut the pizza and just eat it?
You could, because then you're eating your crust first, and like that's a new, fresh way to eat pizza. Okay, but equivalent fraction, I could cut it in half and eat it like really ugly-ish, or I could cut it into like 8 pieces and then eat 4 out of the 8 pieces. Okay, I'm still eating the same amount of pizza, right? So it's equal amounts, but more parts. Just like the word equivalent is equal, but with more parts. Isn't that cool how that worked out? That's spelling, English. Good qualities. What was I talking about? Okay, so equivalent fractions, like 1/2, 4/8, same thing. There's a golden rule. Whatever you do to the top, you do to the bottom. So whatever you multiply by the top of the fraction, you multiply by the bottom. Whatever you divide the top, you divide the bottom. But with equations, it's anything. You can do whatever you want to one side of the equation as long as you do the same thing to the other side of the equation. Why are you smiling?
Because this class can be easy.
What?
This lesson's gonna be easy because we just learned this in geometry.
Yeah, it is. Okay, so for example, here is an equation, right? 2 = 2. Any argument? So I could add the same thing to both. These are equivalent equations. Let's do something. Let's say I have x = 2. So I could add the same weight. I could add the same weight to both sides of the equation. You see what I did? I added 4 to both sides. I could subtract the same weight. I could multiply the same weight. If I multiplied everything by 2, 2x + 4 = 8, it still equals the same thing. So these are equivalent equations. Basically, what makes them equivalent is x = 2 in every one of them. So 2 + 4 = 6. 2 + 2 = 4. 2 times 2 is 4, + 4 = 8. Okay, so we're going to learn these rules, and you're not even going to remember them as rules. They're just going to kind of become part of how you do math. Did I make a mistake?
What?
No. I was just saying that another thing you could do with those equations.
Oh, yeah.
That you
do.
could take the +4, change it to a -4, put it like where the 6 is. So like you could do 6 - 4 = 2. So it automatically turn into x = 2. So that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Because that wasn't on there.
That's good. That's
Yeah.
good. Okay, so equivalent equations. So we're going to talk about different properties of equality, which is what we talked about in geometry this morning. So if you think about an equation, think about a balanced scale. Okay, so you got your balanced scale. Whatever you add to this side, you can add whatever you want to this side as long as you add the same weight to the other side to balance it out. You can take off weight from this side as long as you take off weight on the other side. I was doing in pre-algebra, I was doing the whole big to small, you multiply, small to big, you divide, and I was watching myself on camera. You divide, so here's like the top dot, the bottom dot. There's my division symbol. I felt a little depressed after I did that and watched myself do that. Okay, so this is like an equation. So that x equals 2 is an equation. So if I add 4 pounds to this side, I can add 4 pounds to this side. So x plus 4 equals 6. So that's the addition property of equality. And here's how you spell it. Addition property of equality. Says this. Quality. If A equals B, then A plus C equals B plus C. So see how I added the same thing to both sides. Okay? Now this is handy when we're trying to solve equations. Now look over here. We're gonna kind of go through all of this first semester, and this is gonna become ingrained in your brain. But really, those are 4 steps to solve equations. But this is the principles. These are the 3 principles of solving equations. Okay, so if you're a step person, you just give me the steps and let me know what to do. All right, so like you listen to Siri and you take her word for it, even though she has you go around the city 3 times, okay? And that's happened before. Not 3 times maybe, but. So if you're just following the steps, you kind of turn your brain off. You don't have to think about where to get off, how long you have to go on a road. You just listen to Siri. That's fine. That's a great way to live your life. Okay, but if you want to know the why, and if you know the why, then it's easier to understand and remember the steps. Okay? So here's the deal. Your main goal, and I think one of the monsters actually did that. Your main goal is to get the variable by itself. Okay, so here is a variable, because what happens in an equation? What does an equation look like when a variable is by itself on one side?
Sad.
It says x, it's sad, but it's free. X equals, and guess what's on the other side? It's whatever x equals, right? So if you can get the variable by itself, the other side is going to tell you what the variable is, because it will literally say variable equals that, right? So for example, if I wanted to get rid of this plus 4, and this is how I normally teach people, which is probably not the best way, but if X was held captive by a group of
Oh,
mercenaries, and we were Rambo. Do you guys know who Rambo is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Oh, yeah.
He's a really cool dude with M60.
Yeah, Sylvester Stallone. Like he went into prison camps and set prisoners free. That's what we're doing here in math. We're gonna set X free. So 4 is holding X captive. So we need to kill 4. Okay?
You're gonna need to bleep that out this time.
Now here's the deal.
Edit that out.
4 only has 1 strength. What is 4's strength?
4.
What's 4's operation?
Oh,
Addition. How do we take out someone who's good at addition? Subtraction. You can't fight against that. All right, so here's what we're gonna do.
I feel like this is a military now.
Like that, and he's out. Okay, but you gotta hide your tracks. No one can know that you just took out 4. So if you took out 4, your balance scale is gonna look like this, and everyone's gonna notice. So do the same thing over here. All right, whatever you do to one side, do to the other. X equals 2, right? So your main goal is to get x by itself, to set x free. Now, the way to do that, to get rid of stuff that's on the same side as x, to get rid of stuff, you have to do the opposite operation. That's it. So if something's being added, you subtract it. And you can do that all day long as you do the same thing to the other side. Have we talked about my OCD yet?
No.
We have in this class?
Yes.
The shoulder?
Yep.
Yes.
a lot.
Really?
The letters have to be in alphabetical order.
I can't see. I don't know what you just said.
CDO.
But yeah, CDO. Okay, I don't know what this is here. But and I'm mixing up my classes. I don't know why. You guys just seem smarter. So yeah, algebra, I love algebra because of equivalent equations, because it just feels so therapeutic to do this. I was watching someone solve an equation the other day, and they did this. -4, so x equals, and it just gave me wrong feelings. Why did this feel so wrong?
Because it doesn't look natural.
It doesn't look natural, but what? And then he just kind of did the math, but he just bumped that shoulder without bumping this shoulder. That's not how it works. As soon as you get rid of that 4, do whatever you did to that side to this side. Do it before you cross it out. X equals 2. Okay? Whatever you do to one side, immediately do to the other side. And then show your work. Not for me, not for anyone else, but for yourself. You know, you could do it for Jesus too.
Yeah. And the funny thing is that I was just reading verses that talk about like do everything for Christ, like you're like doing it for Christ, and I was just like.
Yeah, and so it feels wrong for me to say do it just for yourself. So I'm not promoting anything. I'm like,
Do it to pass high school.
yeah. So, but whatever you do, so you can see it. If you get up and go to the bathroom and come back, I'm like, what just happened? What is that? Why does that make sense? No, you want to be able to see it. You want to be able to have that satisfying subtract from this side, subtract from this side. Get used to that. If you're not OCD, become OCD. All right? Learn. I can show you the ways of a true CDO person. Okay? All right.
What the?
It's Aladdin. Okay, I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but that's okay. So really, this is technically not the addition property of equality, but it could be, because I could add -4, because remember, subtracting 4 is the same thing as adding -4. So I could add -4 to both sides, I'd still get the same thing, still result. So the addition property of equality, there doesn't really have to be a subtraction property of equality, because it's the same thing. Okay? All right, let's try a couple examples, then we'll move on.
Mr. Flack.
Yep.
So you know the scale thing that you drew? That's
Yeah.
It kind of looks like a cat face. Like if you just add 2 dots in the hands.
Yeah, I don't know what cats look like. I try not to look at them. They
Is it
make
because
me-
they're not symmetrical?
yeah, well,
My cat is.
Just a couple of hairs.
they're not polite. They're
My
rude.
cat really isn't symmetrical.
Most cats are rude. Okay, so
My cat is
what,
not
I know you guys know this is
My dog
15,
is.
right? You know that x is 15. But let's solve this. Let's practice on this easy equation. So what would I do? What would OCD Jesus do?
Do the same thing. Do unto others as do unto the
Yeah,
other
do
ones.
unto the left side as you would do unto the right side, okay?
Show no partiality.
There's a lot of mathematical properties you can learn in Sunday school. So you guys should start going to church. I didn't say that. I'm not supposed to say that. But if you want to learn good math, go to church. Okay, so how do I get x by itself? What do I have to get rid of?
-3, so.
-3, so let's take This isn't very church related, but how do we kill 3?
With kindness, no.
Heaping burning coals. Yeah.
So you add 3 to that.
Yeah.
And then also do the other one.
Which
Okay,
is kind of
do it right away. Right away.
adding.
Don't hesitate. Okay? You've already added 3 to the left side. Immediately add it to the right
Since
side.
you've already killed 3, come on, just kill 3 more.
So x equals 15. So it doesn't sound like we're doing anything. It doesn't feel like we're doing anything backwards. That's the beauty of algebra, because algebra does the thinking for you. You don't have to think about, okay, what number do you subtract 3 from to get 12? You don't have to think that way. Algebra does the thinking for you, and so when you're doing algebra, you think you're doing math forward, okay? But really, you're trying to figure out where you started. X minus 3 equals 12. Well, where did you start that when you subtracted 3, you got 12? Well, if you do algebra this way, you're just applying the properties of equality, then you end up where you started, so you kind of went backwards, but you thought you were moving forward. So that's the beauty of this tool. Algebra is very backwards thinking, but the algebra does the thinking. You just have to follow the steps of algebra.
So it's technology.
Yeah. Technological things aren't limited to like electronic things. They're like, yeah. Okay. All right, let's try to make it a little complicated. Let's Saxonate this stuff. You ready? Saxonation.
Saxify.
Or what? A Saxon's Creed is what we're doing. Okay, ready? X plus 1/4 equals -3/8. What? So this is why we started learning these concepts on really easy equations. We're still going to use the algebra tool. We're not going to do any thinking. We're going to let the algebra do the thinking for us. So, I still just see one guard. How do I take out that guard?
Subtraction.
Okay, so tell me what to do. Tell me what to write.
So it would be the plus 1/4 would be minus 1/4, which equals 0, and then you have to do it to the other side. Do it to the. I wasn't done yet.
Oops. All right, now you can cross this out, and I'm left with x on this side. But what's 3/8 minus, or what's -3/8 minus 1/4?
-5/8.
Yeah, nice. You did that quickly in your head. So you need a common denominator, right? -2/8. And then it's negative minus 2/8, right? Or plus negative. So -5/8. Well done. Okay, and just to be safe, we're going to check it. -5/8 plus 2/8. It's going to go down to -3/8. Makes sense. Okay? Does that feel all right? That wasn't too complicated. All right, there's another example, but I think we're going to move on to 24. All right, next is, I got my wish. Multiplication property of equality. You know what I'm going to write? Do you know, Ilya? This was my wish, and I thought I was going to have to wait till next year.
Oh, I know which one it is. And then next year you would forget, and then we'll have to do it again and again. So.
Okay, remember if A equals B, then A plus C equals B plus C, right? You can add the same thing to both sides. Here's the multiprop of equality. If A equals D, then AC equals DC. That's what I wanted to do. Like I was like, oh, I should have said ACDC. It's like, yeah. Get it? ACDC?
Back in black.
I had a shirt that was ADHD. Have you guys seen that shirt?
Yes.
It's like the 80s ACDC logo, but it's ADHD.
I have
used to be ADHD. Now I'm just ADD.
I feel like that shirt talks to me. Just kind of. I moved to there with that shirt.
The shirt, yeah.
The ADHD one.
Are you ADHD?
Maybe we'll never know.
Maybe.
You want to know?
Wait, what were we talking about?
You're lucky I don't bring magnets to this class. I'd be sitting here just hearing clicks.
Yeah. Okay, so basically you can multiply anything you want on one side of the equation as opposed to the other. This is different than equivalent fractions. Equivalent fractions is only limited to multiplication and division. So you can't like add 1 to the top and add 1 to the bottom. 3/4 does not equal 5/6, right? You can't just add 1 or add 2 to the top and add 2 to the bottom. You can only use multiplication and division in equivalent fractions, but equivalent equations, you can do whatever you want. You can buy this left side in and out as long as you buy this right side in and out, and it'll still be equal. You can take the square root of the left side as long as you take the square root of the right side. It'll still be the same, all right? So equivalent equations, it opens the world to whatever you can do, just as long as you do it to the other side. Be fair. Golden rule. Okay. And obviously, the multiplication property of equality is very related to division. You know, division, you can turn any division problem into a multiplication problem, right? Copy, not flop. You know, 8 divided by 2 is the same thing as 8 times 1/2, right? So you could do that whenever you wanted to. So let's do some examples. I know, okay? I know that you know that x equals 4. But let's do this the OCD way. How do we do this? I'm going to take out my red pen. Why am I taking out my red pen? Yeah?
So divide by 5 on the x side and then divide by 5 on the...
Okay, whatever you do on one side, do to the other. X equals 4. Do you know that means division? Don't be embarrassed if you didn't. Okay?
What?
Everyone know that this means division? Okay, good. X equals 4. The other thing, yeah.
You didn't cross out the other side.
I'm not going to cross that out. Those don't cancel.
Oh, I thought you crossed out the x too. I was confused.
Oh, yeah. No. Okay? So, it's as simple as that. You could have done it like this, actually. 5x equals 20. The other way to get rid of that 5 is by multiplication. If I multiply this by 1/5, and remember what happens when you multiply any number by its reciprocal? What do you get? This was question 1C. I have to burp. I'm done.
You get a 0.
You get 1, right? This was question 1C on the test you just took, okay? Whatever you do to one side, do to the other. Now, which seemed more complicated, the first way or the second way? Yeah, you don't need to do this. You can just divide both sides by 5. But if you have a fractional coefficient, then it might be nice to just multiply by the reciprocal. Here's another one. 3/4 A equals 15. Now you could divide both sides by 3/4. Okay, so let's do that. Because 3/4 is being multiplied by A. So then A equals, okay, this is division, so copy, dot, flop. That cancels. And you get A equals 20 over 1, which is just 20. Okay. Or you could do it this way. Now here's the cool thing. There's 2 ways to get rid of something. So you can do the opposite operation, or you can do the same operation with the opposite. Okay? If 5 superpowers multiplication, you could use that same power against him by giving him the opposite of who he is. Okay? So what's the opposite of 5 when it comes to multiplication? 1/5. So you can either do the opposite operation with that 5. If 5 is being multiplied, you divide by 5. Or you could do the same operation, multiplication, with 5's opposite, and that'll cancel them out too. Okay? So let's do the same operation with this opposite. What's the opposite of 3/4?
4/3.
4/3. Look what happens right away. I went from this step right to here. So I didn't have to do the divide by 3/4, divide by 3/4. Oh, you're dividing, so you copied out flop. I automatically had something that was already flopped and I could multiply by. Okay, so in this case, when you have a fractional coefficient, it might be nice to just multiply by the opposite instead of doing the opposite operation. Okay, it doesn't matter. This way is fine, especially if you're following those steps or whatever you do. To get rid of something, you do the opposite operation. 3/4 is clearly multiplying by A, okay? So to get rid of 3/4, you do the opposite operation, divide by 3/4. But dividing by a fraction, you could even do this. And this, if you feel good about this, if you and your personal OCD feel good about this, you could do this. If I'm dividing by 3/4, that's the same thing as multiplying by 4/3. It doesn't look the same, right? Because that's division, that's multiplication. But this is the same. If your OCD is okay with that, then you can still do it that way. But, okay. Multiplication, property of equality. How are we feeling about that? All right, let's Saxonate this, because this is too easy.
Disaxonate, that's what it should be.
What?
Saxony
Disaxonate.
or dissect?
Like dissect it, but
Yeah.
disaxonate? I'll think about it.
That's an idea.
Kind of like that. Yeah. All right, let's do this. Ready? 2/5 x equals 7. Example 3. 2 1/4 x equals 3.
What is
All right.
the bottom number on the first?
2/5. Sorry. It's just who I am. Okay. Who wants to walk me through this? One person. Walk me through this. Raise your hand. All right, settle down, guys. Not everyone can answer this. There's so many people raising their hand. It's a little.
Come on, Mr. Flack, choose me, choose me.
Okay, just hold. All right, let's pick a number between 1 and 10.
5.
3.
Who said 7?
I did.
Okay, Kiara's going. Sorry, you guys just need to wait your turn.
Do you
Aww.
want me to just say what I got for number 1?
No, that's a horrible way to do
Okay.
this. Okay, what would you do? What did you do? What did Kiara do?
I flipped 2/5 into
Okay.
5/2, and I applied it to both sides.
Okay, so instead of doing the opposite operation, you did the same operation with the opposite. Good.
Yes. So I canceled out on the first side to just get x.
Mhm.
And then on that other side, because nothing can cancel out, I just multiplied and I got 35/2.
Yep, and that's it. And you can leave it like that. If you want to change it to a mixed number, you can if you're going to Subway, but I think that's fine. Okay? Unless it specifically asks you to change any improper fraction to mixed number, which they did in like Math 7-6. And I've never heard that since. Yeah. They don't even make that book anymore. Now it's just like Math 1, Math 2, Math 3. Apparently there's only 3 levels of math before you get to algebra.
Well, maybe you
Whatever.
repeat someone twice.
Well, then, yeah, that's how math works. Okay, someone else. Kiara, you can't go twice.
Also, Kiara, what's
You
with
need to
that
give-
hand raise?
Hey, yo.
All these other eager opponents. Who else wants to go? Ava, did you raise your hand? Did you want to raise your hand? Did you think about raising your hand? Were you like, woke up this morning like, I'm going to answer a question in math class? Is that what you were thinking? You weren't? I could have sworn I got that vibe.
You can do it, Mom.
You don't have to. You don't have to. You don't want to. You did great on your test, by the way. But so she's just being humble. All right. I hate those humble mathematicians. No, I don't hate you. It sounded like I just said I hated you, but I don't hate you. I envy you. Yeah, don't be humble. Ilya, do you want to walk me through this?
Yes.
Okay, what are you doing?
So take the 2, add it to the fraction, so it's going to be 9/4.
Yeah, because what do we think about mixed numbers?
Ew.
Yeah, they're
Boo.
disgusting.
Oh.
I mean, I usually like
Off with the
most
head.
numbers, but mixed numbers, I'm a little,
They're just so ugly.
like I don't want to hang out with them. They're just weird. What is
It's
that,
like
9?
It's mixed away. That's not going to
Okay, now you'll realize why you didn't want to hang out with that mixed number right away. What's the next step? What do you do next, Ilya?
So do it times 4/9 on both sides.
4/9?
Yeah.
Yeah, you could do that same thing. Now, that wouldn't have been possible if we kept that mixed number, right? Because you can't flip anything that's not flippable. It's got to be in fraction form.
Mr. Flack, what if you first did -2 and then
Okay, but this is not 2 plus x or 2 plus 1/4 x.
dot point?
It is 2x plus 1/4 x, but then you have 2 x's and it just gets weird. Okay? So
I didn't
just
say
general rule, mixed numbers are dumb. Okay, get rid of them. So what is that? This could cancel, this cross reduces a little bit and you end up with what, 4/3?
Yep.
Okay, that's good, that's good. All right, let's do a couple more. Here's a good one, this is a fun one. This is always a crowd pleaser.
Oh.
Oh, you know it's going to be first.
Okay, tell me what this is as fast as you can.
12. Wow.
Wait a
11.
minute.
11.
Oh, is it 27? X equals 27?
Yeah, but okay, so let's do this algebraically. Because a lot of people see that and they're like, oh, 3.
No.
Because they see a division, they see a 9, they see 3.
No.
But no, don't fall for that. Did you fall for that? I didn't think so.
I did not fall for it. I said 11.
Yeah, you fell for something else. Okay, so let's do this algebraically. What's the rule is to get x by itself. All right, so what do we need to do to get x by itself? Well, right now
Oh, it's already, yeah.
the 3 is dividing, so how do we take out the 3 guard? What do we do?
3/x.
Multiply by 3.
By 3, so you can
Or you can
cancel
do it
out
that
the
way.
denominator.
Okay. So if something's being divided, you just multiply it. This is great. Later on this semester, we're going to talk about F-bombs. And really what we did is we... What?
Hey, yo.
I don't know what you were thinking, but an F-bomb is clearly called a fraction bomb. And
Oh, I
so
thought
you
it
can
was
drop an
something else.
F-bomb as long as you drop it on both sides. That will completely wipe out any kind of fraction. All
I
right?
mean, you can take that as
And then you can
life
issue
advice too. You know, if they drop an F-bomb, then you can drop an F-bomb as well.
Yeah,
No, I'm
if
just
the
kidding.
left side drops an F-bomb, then you
Don't do
have
that.
to drop a F-bomb on the right side.
And then you also have some of the bar graph.
You definitely fall for the dirty mind trick.
Oh.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm clearly talking about fraction bombs. Right, Mercy? Probably shouldn't say all your names on the internet.
That's fine.
Martha?
It's
Mercy.
fine, Luis.
Okay, so x equals 27, all right? So it's this forward method that allows you to do things backwards.
Wait,
It's pretty
Mr.
cool.
Flack, you know how you could test if it's actually dirty-minded? Walk into the middle school class. Say, what if I dropped an F-bomb on both sides? What do you think they would, like, would they laugh or would they just be confused?
You should do it.
Confused.
I think they would
There's
laugh.
only one way to find
I
out.
think they'd be like
Cause I
confused.
I
like
can do that
confused
for you
laughter.
guys. Do the test for you.
Okay, this
I think
is
they would laugh 'cause it's like,
if this was on your test and we just didn't do these 4 or 5 problems before this one, I would probably say statistically, not you specifically, but statistically, half of you would get this wrong. Okay? Don't feel bad if you get this wrong.
I will take that as a note.
Auto parts. Ow!
Should we do a free problem set?
No. I don't
Okay, go.
What?
Is it a free problem set?
Yep, it's for a free problem set.
Okay.
I do not have the calculator.
Find
so I
P.
cannot-
Is it a 5 at the bottom? 4 1/5, right? Yeah. Okay.
Wait, is it 26 over 6?
Your goal is to free P from captivity.
Oh gosh, that's rhymes.
Mr. Flack,
Ye.
is it 26 over 6?
No.
Mr. Flack,
Yeah?
is it P equals, right, the number I was skipping, 26 over 2.
No.
What?
I got 26
Mercy?
over 3. How'd you get
13 over 2.
3.
Yes, mercy.
Over 3, okay.
Did you get that too?
Yeah.
13 over 2? All right, Mercy, walk me through it.
It's because I did simplify.
No, that wouldn't have been right
I
either.
guess that's true, but it was
No,
generally.
it's
Mr.
okay.
Flack, is it because you just don't like this?
No.
You have something against brunettes?
Have you met Mrs. Flack?
Have you met any of his kids?
Is it because you only like one?
Hey,
Do we remind you too much of your kids?
some of you,
Like who?
but in good ways.
Yes.
Oh.
That's,
Oh.
that's
Oh, I'm
Good-
sure I
good
can
thoughts
make that
from
into
the
that.
I'm pretty sure some of us remind you of your kids in bad ways.
All right, Mercy, how did you do this? How in the world did you do this? What did you do first?
I turned 4 1/3 into a mixed
Yes,
number.
because what do
I
we
mean,
think of mixed numbers?
It's like that weird kid across the street.
Yeah, it's like that weird kid.
Stay over.
Get rid of him. No, don't get rid of him.
You have to divide.
It's like that weird kid.
Kids, it's
Totally changes
You'll
appearance.
You'll have at least a week to hide the evidence before
All
they
those
notice
people,
it's
like,
missing.
Yeah.
Bruce. That takes
The
skill.
children escape from.
Okay, then what'd you do, Mercy?
And then I multiplied 3 over 2 by 13 over 3.
Yeah. So here's what's a mistake that a non-you algebra person would do?
I know.
What?
You would flip the 3 over.
Yeah.
2.
So you're not dividing by 3/2. If you were dividing like you are right now in the equation, but to get rid of the 3/2, which is being divided, you multiply by that same thing. Don't copy dot flop because you're not dividing, you're multiplying. All right? So that cancels, and you're left with, look at that cancel. 13 over 2. Good. Now, what you did you copy dot flop?
Yeah.
You said 26 over something.
Yeah.
You said 26 over 6, didn't you?
I copied off.
And then no, but you said 26 over 6. Yeah.
Instead of 3 times, you said 3 times 3 is 6, which is a very common brain fart. And don't feel bad, even though you're on video, Kiara, people make that mistake all the time. So Kiara, hey, stop crying, Kiara. All right,
Okay.
here you go, sweetie. Thank you. Okay.
You're welcome.
All right. Any questions? You guys good? All right. That's it.